Hi, this is Jason Bridges with Invest to Retire and a short but powerful demonstration of compound interest. We talk a lot about compound interest, but we've had tons of questions about it and many requests from people to offer them a visual aid that shows just how effective it can be for building wealth. So I've put together an interactive spreadsheet that displays all the pertinent information, and I think you're going to be amazed at just how this formula works, and especially when you understand that the numbers don't lie. Let's take a look at the calculator right now, and as you can see, I've listed several columns to display the variables that we use for these calculations. And on the far left is a column showing the number of years for your investment. Beside that is the amount of interest earned for that year. This dollar amount is based on the principal amount from the previous year. And note that all interest in these examples is calculated at the end of the year. The next column to that lists the annual contribution that's going to be added to the previous year's principal. And to the right of that is a column listing the new principal amount after adding the interest from the previous year as well as the annual contribution. And the column on the right, the very right, shows the annual percentage rate that applies to the formula. So let's get started with some basics just so you can become familiar with the calculator and understand that it's true and accurate. Let's start with an initial principal amount of $100 at 0% interest and no annual contribution. And let's scroll down. As you can see, at the end of 50 years, you'll have exactly $100. Big deal, right? So how about this? Let's start with the principal in the amount of $1,000 and an interest rate of 2.2%. Now, the significance of the 2.2% is that is an interest rate that's comparable to a bank CD investment. And as you can see, when we scroll down to year 50, you'll have less than $3,000. Okay, so now here's where it gets interesting. Suppose that you're able to contribute $1,200 each year to the investment. We'll keep the interest rate at that same pitiful 2.2%. By the way, 2.2% interest is about 1% below the average rate of inflation. But you can see after 50 years, if we scroll down, your investment total is just at $110,000. And that's not too bad at all, right? So how about this? You ready for some fun? What happens if we increase the interest rate to a modest 8%? Now let's see how many years it's going to take to get to that same $110,000 right there. At the end of 27 years, you'll be at $112,000 plus, which, if you'll recall from the previous example, you didn't get to that till 50 years. So let's keep scrolling down. After 40 years, where we're at $332,592. And after 50 years, you're at almost $750,000. And I really hope that you're starting to get excited at this point because these beginning dollar amounts are well within your reach. Okay, we've only started with $1,000 and added $100 each month. And if you're a student of Invest to Retire, then you know already that we show you exactly how to build your cash reserve to start investing with as little as $1,000. And you also know how to find the money to contribute annually to your investment. Okay, all right, let's start talking about some real dollar figures here that would truly grow your wealth and would absolutely make you a millionaire by the time you retire. Let's start with $5,000 and put that into a consistent 12% return. We're going to contribute the same $1,200 annually and watch what happens. After 30 years, you're at $439,000 plus. Can you guess where you're going to be after 50 years? 1 million, 2 million? I think you're going to be surprised that you're going to be over $4 million in your account at that point. Isn't it crazy to think that $5,000 transformed into $4 million? Okay, I see you shaking your head. You've done the quick math and know that unless you're just starting out at 20 years old, 50 years to amass your wealth isn't really feasible. Well, my answer to this is, what are you waiting for? I mean, if you're already in your 30s or 40s, you've wasted valuable time in capitalizing on compound interest. For that reason, I can't stress to you how important it is to begin investing right now in secure and high return investments. They absolutely exist, and you're robbing yourself by not taking advantage of it. The reality of compound interest is that you can't make up for lost time. If you're 40 years old right now and target age 70 to start spending your earnings, those earnings will be less than $500,000. You would have to change your annual contribution to $20,000 to amass the same cash out total of a 20-year-old starting with the same amount. And that's if they added just $1,200, and of course you're both cashing out at the age of 70. Now, I don't want you to get depressed on me right here, because not all is lost. You can't make up for lost years, and you can't make up for lost interest earned, but you can stop the bleeding right now. So I'm going to urge you and beg you to start investing immediately. No matter how old you are, you're still going to benefit from the power of compound interest. So let's do one last example. Suppose you're in your early 40s and you have accumulated some cash assets, maybe in a 401k or some CDs that you own. And let's say that you start out with $25,000, and you're going to roll that into a self-directed IRA that can be used to place some secure and high return investments. So with an IRA, you can contribute $5,000 annually for a person, and $10,000 if you're married, but we'll keep it at $5,000 for this example. And let's scroll down. After 30 years, you can see that you've almost got $2 million. So you're going to be, and if you start out at age 40 and do the 30 years to the age of 70, you'll be at right at $2 million. Okay, I think I've done what I set out to do, and that's to show you how ridiculous compound interest is. And, there's no disputing the power of this. It's the foundation of building wealth, and it absolutely works. But while I've still got your attention, let's go ahead and get crazy and crunch some hypothetical numbers here. I know I said before it was my last example, but I lied. So if you're 20 years old, let's say, and you inherited a big $50,000 payday, could be from an uncle, favorite uncle, whatever. Again, we're going to keep it at 12% interest and contribute $6,000 each year, which, by the way, is only $500 per month. Let's get right to the bottom and see where we're at. Wow, $29 million. Simply amazing, right? He'll be 70 years old, still have decades to spend his wealth. And I know plenty of 70-year-olds today that are extremely active, and that life expectancy gets longer by the decade. So who knows, in 50 years, 70 may very well be the new 40. By the way, if you're 20-something-year-old with $50,000, email me as soon as you're done watching this video, and I can immediately put you on the path to earning $29 million, and I'm not kidding. So you're asking yourself, where do I find investments with a 12% return, and how do I start benefiting from compound interest? Well, the answer is to email me at jason@investorretire.net, and I'll get right back to you with the details. One last thing, note that each of these variables can change depending on your individual preferences. For instance, you may only be able to contribute $1,200 annually for the first 5 years of your investing career, but say on the 6th year, you're able to contribute $2,500 and then $3,000 for year 7 and so on. But for demonstration purposes, I've left the annual contribution as constant. Just know that any additional contributions will only sweeten the pie, so to speak. So that's it for this video. Hopefully I've enlightened you on the power of compound interest and you're excited to begin investing. I know each of you have different circumstances and not all of you will fit into these examples, but you should now be familiar with how it all works and know just where you fit in. I'm happy to share this calculator with you. Just visit www.investorretire.net/calculator and provide your email address, and I'll send it to you immediately. Until then, I wish you all the best in your wealth, and I'll talk to you very soon.